All right. So last week where we left off, we were busy discussing our formative questions, right? And I think we were on question 5. So we had said that we are going to continue with that today, but noticing that it's our last session, so I've decided to split it into 2. So the first 2 hours, it will be for theory, and then the last hour, it will be for our formative questions. Okay. But if we managed to do the first 2 hours much quicker, then we will quickly jump into the formative questions. So our time now is 8:30. So meaning to say we will finish at 11:30. Okay. All right. So if we are going to have any break, that will probably be a 5-minute break, so that we will be able to finish in time. Okay. So today we are starting our class on learning unit 2, which is whereby we are looking at managing induction as well as career planning of staff. So in this unit, you should be able to understand how to manage the induction of new staff, prepare to manage the induction of new staff, manage and review induction of staff, as well as manage individual careers. So what is induction? So induction is the process of introducing new employees to an organization and to their work responsibilities in that organization. And what's the purpose of this induction? So new workers in an organization are usually given an induction program in which they meet other workers, as well as they are also shown how they do things. In other words, the skills which they would have to use. Because you might be a facilitator in one organization, and if I'm to join a new organization, I still also have to learn in terms of how they do their things. It's not, the setups are not always the same. So hence the induction is very, very important. So positive performance outcomes are the purpose of an induction program. And you need to design these induction programs so that they will be able to help the employees assimilate quickly and understand their tasks, as well as to standardize the work which is expected of them. Okay. So in your organization, I do believe that you do these induction programs. So maybe if we can just have a general feel of how you go about it. Anyone would want to share in terms of how you do induction in your workspace?
Okay, let me jump in. It's usually a session in one of our halls. It's conducted by HR. It's usually for new employees. I think the one thing that we don't do is we just do induction for new employees, and we never have refreshers. Then we've got something called the TCM Employee Handbook, which is discussed in that session. It basically gives the new employees the company rules. They explain a bit about the company culture. They explain things like your medical aids, how your medical aid works. It's just basically taking them through company rules and how the company works, and processes within the company. And then there's a Q&A session after that, where the new employees are open to ask questions. And then yeah, they are given some documents to go through. They're given some links to refer to, and yeah, it's a session driven by HR, just to inform the new employees of company culture, processes, and just everything to do with the company. We've had 1 or 2 sessions where The CEO has made an appearance. Because we've noticed that in our organization, you know what, there's people that have worked at the organization for more than 10 years have never met the CEO. So there's he'll pitch up at one of two of these sessions, welcome the guys, and yeah, that's what we do from an induction point of view.
Yeah, no, I think you are right to say that, you can work for 10 years for a company and you have never met the CEO. And I've also noticed that recently at Regenesis, they were, as part of the induction also, they make sure that they get to introduce you to almost everybody. And that also includes the CEO. That is if he is on campus. And I feel like it's very, very important for people during that induction period to familiarize themselves with everybody and know what the roles of those people are. It does help quite a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we do from a TCM perspective.
All right. And anyone else would want to add on to that in terms of how you do in your company space? Yes, Akila.
Morning, everybody. I think from us, it's a bit of a how do you put it? Because we are governed by the mine health and safety policy, or rather, the DMR, which is so. What happens is we group our induction into different designations. So we will first start with the first module where they will go through the e-learning program that basically speaks to your health and safety policy, your HR policies, your environmental policies, and just the general view of what happens in the mine and whatnot. Then after that, they would be split into their different designations. And you would have different people. So we do new intakes, and we also do refresher as well. It's mandatory. So such that we've, even in our system, we've blocked in an 18 months period. If you don't come for induction, we will block you on the system and you can't clock anywhere else until you can actually do your induction. So then from there, we split them to different classrooms. So you'll have your winch people or your general, say your semi-skilled laborers going to different designations, doing their own obviously standard procedures and whatnot. You will have your artisans going to different sites, and all of them will be grouped into different designations. Then from there, they will, some will have to do practical, especially if you are a new operator or whatnot. Then from there onwards, we've also got legal training, which is a requirement. So for example, an artisan will have to have portable hand tool training or whatnot. So some do it there and there so that you are ready to have your license and go to work once you're done.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Molefe.
Akila, how long does this take? It just sounds like it takes a while.
Okay, so like I said, we've got your core mining, we've got your technical, we've got your services, and we've got people that are on surface, right?
Yeah.
So for me, my induction literally takes less than 4 hours because I will just do your e-learning program. But for an artisan, it can take up to 3 days because they will have to write their standard procedures. So basically, it's mandatory because what happens in the mine, should somebody get an injury or whatnot, the first requirement is your training record. So you have to have your standards there to show that you do know precisely what you need to do at work and how and whatnot. Yeah.
And then one last question, because I'd like to suggest this at my workplace. How do you guys handle the refreshers? Remember, I mentioned that there's something that we actually don't do. Because let me make an example. If someone starts this month and there's a refresher this month, or there's a refresher next month, you can't put that person on a refresher next month when they've started this month. So how do you guys handle that? Because people are always starting at work. Is it a set time that every quarter you guys do refreshers? How do you guys handle refreshers?
Okay, with us, you must remember we are high capacity, or we work with about 10,000 employees, meaning including contractors as well. So we have refreshers and what do you say, new intake daily. So it's how
Oh,
we control it. So for example, if I am new, I will go and do my e-learning. And if I need to go and do, for example, winch training or whatever, then they
yeah,
will take me to new skills or rather
okay,
there. And then
yeah.
your ex-leave or your refreshers will go through a different process. Same as with your e-learning. My e-learning is now different. It just assesses me on different modules, and then it could even take 2 hours, whereas a new employee might take about 4 to 5 hours. So
Oh,
basically, that's how we do it. But you would have to have capacity because now you will, have different training at different times. It's just scheduled like that.
oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds quite interesting. Um, I think that refresher induction, I think it does help. I wish we could also be doing that. I think that it helps to keep people in line because sometimes you take things for granted and you tend to forget other policies and procedures. So such refreshers definitely, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at what has to be covered in induction. So there is your terms and conditions of employment. So this includes your hours of work, timekeeping, your your procedures, your annual leave, public holidays, your staff profile, which would also have to be compiled, and then there's quite a number of items here. It's just that my slides is a little bit faint, right? There's quite a number of things which are listed here. And then also on your workplace health and safety, your accident procedures, your emergency protocols, your protection clothing, the general housekeeping, smoking regulations, etc. All that has to be covered. And then also to the most important thing, which is the introduction of the job itself. So you would have a workplace tour. You'd also have you would also be introduced to your fellow workmates, and you'd also be introduced to your supervisor, and you would also need to to know your general items such as your how to clock in and out and stuff like that. So that all that information has to be covered in your induction. Okay. With regards to your clocking in, I don't know if all of if all of us use the same systems of clocking in a workplace. Do we have those kind of systems, or you just have to come to work, or how do you?
At TCM, it's dependent on the role.
Mm,
So there's people that have to be in the office on a daily basis. So
mm,
the clock-in system would be as soon as they tap their card at the
mm,
gate, it means that
mm,
they've clocked in.
mm,
And then we've got field services technicians as well, that we've given tablets. So as soon as he travels to his first call in the morning, that is his clock-in time. And then obviously when you get your exec level and C level, no one is required to clock in there. You have to manage yourself. They take it, you're responsible enough to sort yourself out.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, in our space is almost also like that. So we have got the people who are in charge of operations, like your academic admin, your admissions officers, your student advisors. Those they have to be at the office almost on daily basis. So we've got a fingerprint clock-in system which they use. And then for academics, they don't necessarily have to clock in, because some will be working from home, some would actually be doing training on at clients' premises, so they don't have to actually clock in onto the system. So yeah, I think it is dependent on on your role. Okay. All right. So, right. So in other organizations, what they would also normally do is they would have a mentor. So during that induction process, so the mentor would then be will be allocated to the new staff member to assist with the induction of that individual. So what this mentor would do, their role would be to give information and advice relating to careers and the organization. They would also be, they are also required to coach the new staff member in enhancing skills and intellectual development. They are also supposed to listen and provide feedback and serve as a sounding board. They are also supposed to note strengths and areas to be developed in the new staff member. They are also supposed to offer encouragement and motivate the new staff member in seeking developmental opportunities. They are also supposed to act as a role model by reflecting what is expected and valued in the organization. They are also supposed to act as a guide. They are supposed to be trustworthy and respect confidentiality. I don't know if any of you have got this kind of a setup. Yes, Malefa?
We actually do, but we call it something different. It's not called the mentor, what you call it? We call it the buddy system. So,
okay.
and it's quite funny that when I started at my current, what you call it, many years ago, I think it was like 20 years ago, Didi was actually that person for me. So they'll pair you up with a person maybe for 2 weeks or a month, and then that person just is responsible for inducting you into the company. So if you have questions, that person is there. Do you understand? And you end up being friends with that person because a lot of things you will actually pick up from this person. But we call it the buddy system at the TCM. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now that's wonderful. And how now do you prepare for the induction of this new staff member? Okay. So when you are preparing for induction, you will need to ensure that you have got this available. So the induction documentation and materials are supposed to be current, relevant, and complete. The new staff, they are welcomed and given detailed tour of the relevant site facilities. Work routines must be described accurately and in sufficient detail to enable the new staff member to have greater understanding of what they have to do. The internal procedures are supposed to be described in sufficient detail to enable understanding of the new employee, and we are supposed to create a plan for the induction process. So this has to be a planned and documented process so that the individual would be able to benefit from it. Okay. So once this individual has settled in, then it comes. We now come on to managing individual careers. So this is whereby now you yourself you are now managing your career in that organization, and this also has to be done in line with the line managers. They also assist in these processes and with the assistance of HR. Okay, but what I've also noticed at times, whereby you'd find that there's always some sort of like, in some cases, not always, in some cases you might actually find that the person who is supposed to be assisting you with your growth, in some case, your line manager might not really be so keen to do so. How would you handle such kind of a situation? How how would you handle that? So we are talking of career development here, which has to be assisted by your line managers or supervisors. also with the help of HR, right? So your line managers, they are also supposed to guide you in terms of the career paths which you can also take for your development, so that you can actually be able to reach your career goals. So what happens? How would you manage such a situation whereby maybe your line manager is not really keen to assist you on that? Yes, Melif.
Sorry, I'm talking too much, but yeah, well, it is what it is. So within our organization, we've got something called open door policy. So you're not just limited to speaking to your line manager. If your line manager is not keen, you are advised that you can go to your line manager's manager. And if you're not getting any assistance from the two, you can then take it up with the HR department. And then the HR department will then escalate it to the department director, if that's the case. So it's that open door policy where you don't have to deal with a single individual. So yeah, that's what we would do.
Okay, so I think that's a better. So you are not stuck with your line manager then.
At all, yeah. So open door policy. At one stage, we had an open door policy into the CEO's office, but that was not a good idea. So yeah, so now it's the rule is if your line manager is not coming to the party, you can go to their manager. If both are not doing anything, you escalate with HR. HR will then take it up with the executive or the department director.
Okay, now that's wonderful. And Akila?
Well, I think for us, because we're a big organization, there are different ways in which you can handle this. I mean, I think, Jairus, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I know you can also still take it through the union or your organized labor. We've also got an SDF. You can also take it through there. But what they do is usually they monitor. So we've got a mandatory thing that we need to do with our CETA. Obviously, we submit our training plans for the year. So every manager needs to submit and whatnot, and we monitor that to say, okay, this one did not submit and whatnot. But if there are grievances in between, they can come through any other platform, whether it's through the SDF or the talent division, or it could come through HR, or it could come through a grievance situation, or it could come through organized labor. Thank you.
Okay. All right. No, that's great. So there's always an option of resolving that. So in terms of individual career management process, it starts with the individual, the employee themselves developing long-term goals based on personal interests and ambitions. And then once they have got that, then they need to have action planning. So they need to have planning of the kind of jobs which they would want to go on. And they also need to have an estimate or assumption in terms of the duration they would want to stay on those particular jobs. And during that process, if they are given the opportunity to participate on those jobs which that they view as their career path, they need to maximize on learning. So they need to make sure that they constantly enrich the experience which they get from those jobs. And then lastly, they need also to be a continuous assessment of what's available in the organization. So we need to make sure that in terms of your progress or in terms of your development, your skills must also be in line with what the organization is looking for. So that process is continuous also, and it also allows for continuous repositioning of yourself, and whereby you have to really look into yourself and look at the pathways which you can actually take so that you can actually remain relevant. Okay. So the challenge of human resource is matching the career aspirations with the business needs. So we've got business needs, which is the organizational needs, and then we've got individuals' needs. So when we look at the organization's needs, the organization is mainly concerned with the strategic decisions as well as the operational decisions. So on strategic decisions, they are concerned with the current competencies, the future competencies, the market changes, if they are mergers or joint ventures. They are also concerned with the innovation. They are concerned with the growth. If we are going to have a downsizing, or if we are going to have a restructuring of the whole company, all right? And then in terms of operational needs or operational concerns, they are more also concerned with employee turnover, absenteeism, the talent pool, outsourcing, and productivity itself. Whereas the individual's needs, they are personal individual's needs, and then there are also professional needs. And in terms of personal, you are more concerned about your age, your family concerns, spouse employment. Obviously, if your spouse is not employed, that means obviously it also gives you pressure in terms of and other interests, which are referred to as outside interests. And then when it comes to professional needs, you are more concerned with your career stage. Like for instance, in your current position, you are more concerned with, am I at this age, and considering my qualifications and experience, am I supposed to be in this current space? If not, then how can I actually get to a higher position, or how can I develop myself to a better position? And you are also concerned with your education and training, and your promotion aspirations and performance, and also your potential and your current career path. Okay. Is there anything else which we might have left on individual needs?
Salary.
Salary, yeah. Now I think salary, we all need that. We all need that, and it's very important. I think here we would list it under professional, right? Yeah, definitely. You are also concerned with your income. It is of concern. All right. Right. So how do we develop an individual profile? Okay, so we would have to look at the abilities, the values, the technical skills and competencies of the individual. We would have to look at the career anchors. When we talk of career anchors, what are we talking about here? So here we are mainly looking at the self-concepts, which would actually shape the individual's career. So in other words, we are looking at the self-image of that individual, or what do they aspire to be, right? And then we also look at the career phases, the lifestyle preferences, performance information, and the individual's needs and interests. And we can also get some of the information from our assessment centers. So this might be also our human resource department, which would then help us with this information. So then once we have got all that information, we need to integrate and analyze the individual and organizational information to compile an individual's career profile. So an individual profile could include career advancement strategies. So when we talk of advancement strategies, is how can we actually assist the employee to become better, right? In terms of their career. So through training and development interventions, self-empowerment, networking, mentorship, all these could actually help assist in terms of developing our employees. Okay, so still on facilitating and managing the career planning process. So we would also need to formulate career goals based on individuals' career profiles. So clearly spacing the actions which will have to be taken, the accountability, who's going to be accountable of the whole process, the timeframes of which certain actions will have to be taken by. So we need to have specific timeframes. And we also need to ensure that they comply with organizational and legislative requirements. And this whole career planning process, it has to be documented for reference purposes. Okay. We also need to ensure that career planning discussion is effective. We identify the career advancement strategies to facilitate and attain for career goals. So meaning to say, we need to identify what kind of strategies we would use to help and assist each individual. Okay, and then we'll also need to link individual development plans applicable in performance management to career goals. We also need to produce a career plan and make it available to relevant parties for career management process. So this is supposed to be a transparent process to help each individual in terms of their career plan. But is this happening actually in our workspaces? Are we doing these things? Are we assisting people in terms of their career development in the workspace? Is this really happening? Yes, Akila.
Yes, I think for us, especially with the mining industry, it is actually regulated also in your social labor plan. So where, if you look into, for example, our social labor plan, there is the career development section where we would state our commitment to what we're going to do in terms of career development or career planning.
No, that's wonderful. And any other, Mr. Jairus, where are you today?
Morning. I'm just having network issues. Just
I
logged
see.
in at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just your view there with regards to career planning in your workspace. Are you is this happening? And if so, how are you doing it?
Okay. The career planning that we have is your IDPs. We have our IDPs whereby we have one-on-one with or with your subordinate, and you discuss the gaps that they have, and from there on you discuss the courses or career path that would best suit them or cover the gap that they have. This can also be informed by the competency matrix that one would have in an organization or in a department. Yeah, it is happening. We are currently busy with it, trying to engage with our subordinates in order for us to have a IDP which will be populated which will inform the WSP as well. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you for that. it's good to know that it is happening, because it is very, very important. All right. So there's on this diagram here, I know it might be a little bit faint from your side. I don't know if you can see it, but it's illustrates the career development process, whereby an employee would have to have a discussion with the supervisor or the line managers, and in terms of their set goals, in terms of what they would want to achieve. And then we'll then use our IDP, which is our career development process, in terms of looking at what would be the requirements in terms of improving that individual, so that they could actually be better skilled. So we look at the options which we can use in terms of helping the individual. That would be either through training or any other developmental activities which we can also use. All right. And through this process of, we also need to make sure that we have got to ensure ongoing monitoring and feedback and coaching of this individual as well, so that they can be able to continuously improve themselves, and also to see if they are in line with what they want to achieve. And once all this is done, we also need to have that to conduct an organizational occupational and individual needs, so that they can be a match in terms of what the organization requires and what the individual also needs. Okay, so this is it's a continuous process. You can't say that it's a process which once you have completed if you have met your first maybe your career path which you had set for yourself, then that's the end of it. It's a continuous process, because an individual will always want to seek for a higher position. So it tends to be a continuous process. All right, so that's just a summary on this unit. We have managed to understand how to manage the induction of the new staff, to prepare to manage the induction of the new staff, and to manage and review induction of the staff, as well as manage individual careers. All right. So we now move on to Unit 3. So now here we are now looking at managing information for human resource management practices. I'm sure some of you might be familiar with systems which you use for human resources. So we are looking at the systems which you use in terms of capturing your data, your information, or inputting your documents, as well as managing the whole HR process. Because gone are the days when we used to rely only on keeping files, and sometimes it can be time consuming to check on those files. But if it's on the system, then it makes things easier in terms of checking things or inputting information, as well as if we need certain reports. So what kind of HRM information systems are you currently using in your workspace? Akila, what are you using for your data management?
Well, we are using there's different systems that we are using in the mine, so which sort of interlinks to one main system. So, for example, from a learning and development point of view, they will use the learner management system, which pulls information directly from SAP. And when you update the training, it refers back to SAP as well. And then ultimately, actually, sorry, there's one that will show you, it's the Firefly from the gate, which will interlink. And then there's that interface that goes to SAP. So basically, SAP is the main one, which will link your training and your employee records and your career, everything, your bursaries and your study leaves and all that will be on SAP.
Okay. So are you able to get notifications? Let's say maybe there's a certain activity or a certain task which has to be done in relation to a particular employee. Do you get notifications? How do you manage that?
Look, I'm not sure because I'm not really into
okay.
HR, but
Uh,
but I do know that, for example, from a procurement side, because we still use SAP from a procurement side. And what happens is it does notify you to say there's something on your workflow, or this needs to happen, or there's an overtime that needs to be approved. So yes, I think it does generally link to everything.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Akila. Anyone else who can who's familiar with these HRM information systems?
Sage and Workday from a TCM perspective. Those are the two systems that we use a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So you are also, you as an individual, you're also able to log on to that system to check for your maybe if you have to submit your leave.
Yeah,
you can
that would be the Sage system. Yeah, you can log in, view your payslip, book for your leave. What else can you do there? Your IRP5 forms would be located there. If you needed history on your payslips, you would get it there. Your leave balances. Yeah, a couple of things.
Okay. No, that's good. We also use that at
Sage.
Regenesis. Yeah.
Yeah. And Workday, are you familiar with Workday?
No.
Yeah.
How does that one work?
Workday was actually used a lot when we were in COVID and when we were coming out of COVID. So you would have to go onto Workday and you would find a form there, a screening form. So you'd have to fill out that form, tell them if you've got any symptoms, if you don't, and all of that. Then that system would integrate with what's that company system where it would then allow you access into the building. So if you had COVID symptoms and you reported yes, then your access for that day would be disabled. So that's what they used Workday for. But it was a system that was used by HR. They would also use that system to basically keep track of how people are doing in terms of COVID and all of that. Yeah.
I see. I know we used to have there was a link which we would get every morning to to update in terms of temperatures.
Yes.
If you've got any symptoms, you'd have to also list them there. Yeah. And if you had been in contact with anyone outside your family and etc, you'd also have to mention that. I know we used to get that link every morning.
I think it was driven by government at one stage. All companies had to do it because I think that's why they had to bring in Workday from our side. So yeah. So even if you weren't coming to the office, you'd still have to go into Workday and just answer those questions and then submit. Then it would then go to HR. They would then keep that data, and then I think they would send it off to somewhere. But yeah, that's what we did.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So in this learning unit, in terms of our outcomes, you should be able to manage the capture, storage, and retrieval of human resource information using an information systems. You should be able to manage payroll records. You should also provide HR information for the use of others. So a human resource management systems, also referred to as HRMS, or a human resource management information system, also referred to as HRMIS, is a very useful tool for an HR practitioner, right? And it's mainly used for your storing of information and your whole human resource management process, your payroll management, your performance management, as well as your training and developmental management. So all of that is covered in the system. So for it to be effective, it must actually be able to give us information, to give us reports, which we can use for managing all these aspects. So an effective human resource management information system is supposed to help us with, is supposed to reduce workload in the HR department. Instead of us running around with files, we've got everything in the system. And as well, like your leave forms, previously people would have to complete those handwritten forms, and then they have to be signed by their line managers, and then from there it has to be taken to the HR. Nowadays, you can simply go onto the portal and submit your leave application. But still, it doesn't mean that some of these old systems they are no longer being used, because you have those employees or individuals that do not have access to these portals. Not that they are not given, but because they don't have the know-how, or they don't have the knowledge of how to actually use them. So you'd actually find that you still have got some of those old systems in place, but at least it does reduce workload on that. So an effective HRM information systems is also supposed to improve the efficiency of the entire human resource department by regulating the HR process. It's also supposed to convert all the vital and sensitive HR information into digital formatting for better and secure accessibility, right? And it's also supposed to augment the decision-making capabilities of the management. So do we still use some of these old systems in your workspaces, whereby you have to have those manual leave forms, etc., or any documents? Yes, Akila.
Yes, for us, because in a mining environment, you work with different types of levels of people, and some are unskilled. You've got your semi-skilled as well. So yes, we do still have your normal handwritten forms where an underground employee will go to the offices and then fill out an application. Some can't write and read, of course, but we do have AID in process as well. So for those that can't write and read, then somebody will assist them and also definitely refer them to AID as well. Yes, so we do still do the old system.
Okay, all right. No, I think we're still going to be using that for a while. I think it will definitely take some time for all people to actually learn to use some of these platforms, or some of these applications which we use. Yeah, that's definitely gonna take some time.
And just to add to what you call it, to Akila's point, I think the old ways of doing things, or the old systems, will always be there, because not everyone within the organization has a laptop, PC, to understand. So in our case, we'll have like your field services people that are driving around. If he needs to process a claim, he has to come in, fill out the document, give us the supporting documents and all of that, and then those are then scanned in and all of that. You understand? So because we all performing different functions within the organization, I don't really see those systems falling off. But the other thing that I can also mention is because we had to go through a Section 189, and we actually went through a Section 189 twice in the organization. This is when your system is tested, hey? Because you know what, you need that information like that, especially if you have to make tough decisions. Because I mean, if you're gonna be retrenching like in excess of 250 people, you need to ensure that you retrenching the right people. And having an HRMS system that is working properly and can give you information like that is quite key. Yeah.
True. Very true. Otherwise, you'd end up, terminating employment of some of the people who are very essential to your operations. If you don't have a proper system, so at least that system should be able to give you reports and in terms of whom you can actually maybe start with.
And the process itself,
Yeah.
will take you a very long time. And the problem with that is then you leave people in limbo. Imagine if you had to go manual, get everyone's file. Do you understand? That process will take a very long time. And you know what? It's quite a costly exercise as well. So having a system that's working properly where you can pull reports and see, okay, this one does that. Maybe these two are doing the same thing we can do with -1 there. Do you understand? It allows you to make the right decisions. Do you understand? But like I said, I still feel that there is a portion of that old system that will still exist in all the organizations. Yeah.
Yes.
Do Juicy, welcome.
Hi, I'm due.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late, guys.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, I thought the class is starting at 9, and anyway. I'm just late. No excuse.
Yes. No. Apologies on that and change of times. I think also that we should have notified you in time. But we have got the recording on, so you can be able to catch up on some of the information which you may have missed. Okay, so
Thank you so much.
All right, we are still on the first 2 hours of our theory session, and then thereafter we are going to do 1 hour of our activities, of our formative activities. Okay. So linked to this HRM system would then be your payroll processing system, right? So so this is the system whereby you'd have to, as human resources, you would have to input your information on new employees, or if there is any changes in terms of the profile of an employee. And you also input the time cards from the different from your employees, and this system is supposed to be able to also to give us a payroll report. It's also supposed to also able to process our salaries and wages as well, straight to the bank accounts. And as well, it also is supposed to be able to give us a tax report, as well as processing payments through to the government. Okay, so it's supposed to do all this. Okay, so it is also a very integral part of our human resource system. So it is also important to make sure that in terms of our payroll system, it is also in line with our legislative requirements, which is your Income Tax Act, the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, your Unemployment Insurance Fund Act, the Skills Development Levy Act, the Employment Equity Act, and the Occupational Industry and Disease Act. We'll also be discussing some of those in the next slides. So what will be the impact if the payroll does not conform to the requirements? All right. So if the payroll does not conform to budgetary requirements, the organization could actually find itself spending too much on salaries, and this would actually put a obviously put a strain on the financial resources of the organization. And if the payroll also does not conform to legal requirements, the organization can also find itself being liable for fines or penalties, as well as even imprisonment of the owners or the CEO of the companies, especially with issues regarding to tax, right? And not conforming to requirements could also have a negative impact on the employee's perception of the organization and his or her own tax liabilities. I'm sure you'd be very skeptical with joining an organization which has got probably a reputation of having failed to comply or to conform to any legal requirements. Right. So let's look at some of the yes.
Tell me, who should be held responsible should for my tax if it happens that I owe SARS and the company has undertaxed me?
Or
who should be held responsible for that?
Okay, so the company had undertaxed you, and maybe let's say for maybe a length of period, or even let's say 1 month, right? And yeah, the company is responsible, but also the company can also take a corrective action to in terms of making sure that they get that money from you. So, but the company is responsible in terms of being liable to the government.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm asking that is that because I do a lot of tax returns for some of my guys or for some of the guys at work, and now and then I do pick up that some of the guys are undertaxed and they end up owing SARS. And yeah.
Okay, and how have you managed to rectify it in that process? The individual, if they found themselves having to pay, obviously.
Yeah, because when I look at their tax bracket and what they are supposed to be paying for their pay as you earn, it's way below. And I've asked them to take it up with the payroll to find out why they've been undertaxed. Because if they are undertaxed, that's got an implication. Comes the tax period when you're doing your tax returns, and you end up paying back. So should I find out that I've been undertaxed, can I go back to the company and ask them to assist with that, or that's all up to me?
Yes, I can mention my example whereby I was paid certain bonuses, but the bonus was not taxed. But later on, I got an email from the company informing me that they are going to implement that tax, which was supposed to have been deducted 3 months back. It was an error by the company. So they did send that tax separately, but unfortunately now it impacted me on my salary for 2 months. So which was also, I felt like it was not fair for me. But now you are talking of at the end of the tax period, you find out now that maybe probably the whole year the person has been undertaxed. So what then happens? I think in that instance, you would have to go to your employer so that they can be able to adjust that. But now, in terms of what is owing, I'm sure SARS would want you to pay for that. So it can
well,
be.
there's no way out. There's no way out of it. You have to pay what is owed to SARS. But with regards to the company, I mean, they should be held responsible, and they must find a way to, reimburse you, because now it's impacting you going forward.
Yes, definitely. I'm not sure what agreement could be reached, but yeah, definitely on the amount which would have already been owing to SARS, SARS would want that money from you. And but in terms of the calculations and liability and liable, the company is liable for that. It's their duty to do so. It's their duty to calculate the your text correctly. And I'll find out also. I think it's a good question. If there is a way of actually maybe the company itself having to be the one which is supposed to reimburse you on whatever you would have to pay to SARS, because it's not your fault. It's the company which calculated the tax differently.
James, can I
Yes.
ask a question? And
Yeah.
I want to raise it to Gasa. So if the company is using a system, I'm sure they're not doing it manually. I'm sure they're not doing it manually. So this would imply that entire system is then doing nonsense, if you get what I'm saying. And which is quite a concern, because like I said, it's not one or two people there. Do you understand? If there's people in a certain tax bracket, that would mean that system is configured incorrectly and is calculating everyone's, what you call it, tax incorrectly. Because there's no way they're doing this manually, right?
It's not done manually. It's there's a system that they're using. I mean, with our company, they're using Sage, and I don't know how it happened. I've asked for answers, and no one could give me answers on to explain why this certain individual was taxed below her tax bracket, and obviously it had implications on her SARS returns, and she ended up owing SARS, and even today she's still owing SARS.
Okay.
So there was no explanation why her SARS, I mean, her returns or her pay as you earn. I mean, I can tell you now, it was sitting under $100.
Is it?
Yeah.
You mean 100?
Pay as you earn was sitting under 100 Rand per month.
Sure.
Because when I did the returns and it came back and she was owing about seven grand. So I looked and then I started pulling a pay slips to see exactly what was going on. Because remember, you don't get the pay slips, you get the
RP5.
RIP, yeah.
RP5, yeah.
Yeah. So when I looked at it, I says there is no way that you should be doing. I mean, you should be paying pay as you earn under 100 rand for the amount of basic that you're earning. You take it up with a payroll and find out why she's paying so low, and they couldn't answer. Or they just wanted, wash their hands and walk away from it.
And the other thing that I've experienced, but this was through a relative, is, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but one of my relatives actually went through this. So SARS holds the individual accountable, right? If they don't get their money. I had a relative that was working for this company, was getting paid, was getting a pay slip that showed what you call it, a tax deduction. But what that company did is they would show the, what you call it, the tax deduction, but they were not paying SARS the tax deduction. Do you understand? When it came year end or whatever financial year end for SARS, and this person was doing their returns, she owed a lot of money. And when they actually checked, the employer was not sending the money to SARS. SARS then says to this individual, sorry, it's your responsibility to check with us that we're receiving the money. We're not holding the company accountable. We're holding you accountable, which was quite hectic, eh? Like I said, especially since they had proof that, listen, I mean, if your payslip says you're earning 10K and then what, 1,005 of that is deducted for SARS, and then you get 8.5 or whatever the amount is, and they can see it in black and white, but SARS will hold you accountable. They don't care about the organization. They'll come after you. And this talks to what Didi's saying, that you will still get what you call it, that bill that you owe them. Do you understand? But I'm sure they should be making those calculations on their side as well to say that the company has under taxed you, so then they go after the the organization. But SARS won't do that. They're coming after you. Makes no sense.
Yeah, but you see, in a case whereby your company has been deducting tax over a certain period, and they have not been,
Paying the funds over.
Yeah, then that becomes a tax fraud, and
it is.
Those are the cases we are talking about. That the CEO or the owner of that company is actually supposed to be imprisoned, because they are supposed to hand over that money directly to SARS.
But you would think that SARS, as a government organization, would take this on. But SARS won't do that. What SARS will do is they'll say that, listen here, you haven't been paying over the money. They're holding you accountable. I'm telling you about something that's currently happening. They're holding the individual accountable to say that, and the individual is saying, look at my pay slips. I'm showing you. The money was being deducted. They did not give it to you. They're saying, sorry, it's your responsibility. So we're holding you accountable. So it's now a legal case and all of that. But yeah, it talks to what Didi's saying. Do you understand? If Didi, in his capacity, can see that this person is being undertaxed, isn't that something that SARS is actually supposed to pick up to say, hey, listen, what's going on here? Do you understand? I mean, they get the pay slips, they get the RP5s and all of that. But yeah, sorry, just venting.
No, I hear you. I think it's also yes, Jairus.
In our company, we have different nationals from Lesotho, Mozambique, Swaziland, and so on. But what I've noticed is that everybody's been taxed except from the people from Mozambique. If a person crosses 100K, he's gonna get the 100K as is. So
Really?
I just want to know what informs this.
Really? No, it's not supposed to be like that, man. It's my first time to hear of something like that.
And aren't foreigners taxed more than locals? I thought that was the case.
We actually, I'm foreign, right? So we actually get taxed the same, the same as the citizens. Yeah.
Okay.
The same. So, but it's the first time I'm hearing of, certain individuals not being taxed. So I think that's where we get such, innuendos from people as who assume that foreigners do not pay tax. Maybe that's where it's coming from. Because I always see that, like especially on social media, most people have got the assumption that foreigners do not pay tax or they are not taxed. So maybe that's where it is actually coming from. Yes, Akila, please help us on this.
I'm gonna try to further, I don't know, further allude, because Jairus, it's deferred pay, so it doesn't mean that they don't get taxed. So what happens is, I think after a 6-month period, half of the money gets transferred into the Mozambican currency or something, and then it's taxed from the other side. So then after that period, once the money has already been transferred, then he starts again. He receives his full salary, and then the next month it's a different percentage, and then the next month it's lower, 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 and then ultimately it also means he needs to go home and renew his permit or some sort of a thing that he needs to go to go and do annually as well. So it's actually called deferred pay.
I get it.
But But
I get.
from what I understand, deferred pay is different from being taxed because of they're going to deduct the deferred pay for about 6 months, and he goes to Mozambique and he gets the exact money that he deducted. If they the deferred pay, they deducted about for a period of 6 months, the total sum of money it's about 30,000 or 40,000. When he goes to Mozambique, he gets the very same amount.
Wow.
So that's what's happening.
Sure. Hey, these guys are unlucky. So meaning to say, they'll still get that tax money when they get to their country. So which is just as good as they are not getting any tax. They are not being charged any tax anyway because they'll still get reimbursed.
If for that period of 6 months, they deducted about 50K, you go to Mozambique, you get your 50K, you come back. Some don't even wait for 6 months. Some can just wait after 2 months. They go to Mozambique, they get the money that they deducted, they come back. So they don't get taxed. For I don't know, maybe Jeffrey can also dive in. I don't know how he understands it, but that's what's happening in our organization.
Jeffrey, how does this work, man? It seems like there's something wrong with this system here.
Yeah, Jaros is right, because you will only find out those people from like other countries, like you mentioned, they don't get taxed. I think way back there was an agreement between the national countries that there are people they must not be taxed. So I don't know when they go back to their countries, how must this happen? Yeah, Jaros is right. It's different with the deferred pay, because the deferred pay, they are going to deduct their money. Then in 2 months' time, when they go back to their countries, they will get that money as normal.
So maybe probably the same thing is happening, and Mnangagwa is just keeping the money.
Yeah, I think there is an aspect.
You never know.
Yeah.
Can't trust anyone. Hey, but it's a very weird system. But I think we would need to find out more on how this is structured. But it seems very, very weird, because you are living in the country. You're benefiting on the public facilities which you use, from health, road systems, etc. So surely your tax is supposed to be functional here, not in Mozambique. So there's something wrong with that. But I think we'll need to make sure that we need to get some more information in terms of how that system works. Yeah. So let's look at some of the things which are related to your income. So we have got allowances. What are allowances? So an allowance is granted to an employee where the employer is certain that business-related expenses will be incurred by the employee, but where the employee does not have to account for expenses to the employer. So the value of the allowance is based on the expected business-related expenditure. So this could be examples of allowances are your travel allowance, your subsistence allowance. So in this case here, it's an allowance which is granted to you as an employee, and your employer is well aware that you've got these business-related expenses, and you are also not really required to produce receipts for you to account for the allowance which was given to you. Okay, so that's our definition of an allowance. An advance. So an advance is paid in lieu of business expenses an employee will incur and for which the employee must provide proof to the employer. So the value of the allowance is based on the expected business-related expenditure. So the difference between the advance and the actual expense will be recovered by either the employer or employee. Okay. So in this case here, this is it's an advance allowance which is paid to you in respect of the expenses which you are likely to incur. Right. So this is paid in advance. And in this case now, you would be required to produce proof that you have of how much you have spent on that item. And in some cases, there might be some difference in terms of what you have paid, and if it's more, then that also would have to be to either be paid by the employer to make sure that you are covered on that expense. So that's your advance there. Okay. Do we get these things happening in companies? Do we still have got? I'm sure we do, especially if you are involved in traveling, or if you are in certain positions, you do get to benefit from some of these allowances or advances. Okay, a reimbursement. So a reimbursement is a payment by the employer to the employee for business-related expenditure incurred by the employee on instruction by the employer and is subject to proof of expenditure. Okay, so let's say for myself, I've traveled to Limpopo to facilitate there, and I have incurred some extra expenses which are business related. Then I would have to, I can decide to pay for myself there, and then once I get back to work, I can submit those receipts to say these are the extra expenses which I had to incur. I ended up buying an extra extension cord because the venue which you had booked for me, it didn't have these extension cords, so I ended up buying this. And please, can you kindly reimburse me? So that's a reimbursement. Okay.
I'm sure you kept the extension cord after, ne?
Yeah, in most cases, I've never had the situation where maybe they would say, can you maybe bring the extension cord, or, but I think it's supposed to be company property as well. But yeah, but they've never asked for them, but yes, I've had some situations like that. Yes, I saw another hand up. I think somebody wanted to contribute there. All right, so let's now we look at fringe benefits. So the term fringe benefit refers to payments made to employees in a form other than cash. A taxable benefit is deemed to have been granted by the employer to the employee if such a benefit is granted as a reward for services rendered or to be rendered. Okay, so what could be examples of these fringe benefits? So we are saying it refers to payments which are made to employees in a form other than cash. What could be examples of these fringe benefits? Yes, Akile.
I know there's a lot of examples. For example, with us, there's what we call a living out allowance. So if you don't live within the mining area or the mining facility, then it you get a living out allowance. So it differs from different categories. Some get about 5,000, some about 3,000, whatever. I'm not sure where rates there is at the present moment. But yes, that's the first thing. And then there are other benefits, housing allowances that are there. I know some managers have, what do you call that now? Cell phone allowance, and yeah, the list goes on and on.
Hey, you know, I think you, Akila, you are also in the mines, right?
Yes, I'm working with Jairus and Jeffrey.
Oh,
I'm just in a different department now.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's nice. It's nice working for the mines. Imagine living out allowance. Then you still get your your housing allowance on top of that living out allowance. Wow, this you know, this life is so good, man. Life is so good.
Do you
And
guys in the mines? Sorry, Tapio.
yes.
To the guys in the mines, do you guys have a spousal allowance?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Do you guys have a partner or a spouse allowance?
Wow.
No.
I know one guy that well, from Lexmark left with a wife to Kenya, and the guy will be getting a spouse allowance. Hence, he followed the wife. Yeah.
Wow, no, I've never heard of it.
That normally happens with the guys in government as well. If they give you a position in you become an ambassador somewhere, and now you have to take your family with, so they'll pay for your kids and they'll pay for your spouse as well. I mean, they'll pay your spouse a salary.
Yes, that's very, very true. I know of a Zim guy who's married to the German consular here in SA. He gets 75% of the wife's salary. So equivalent of 75% of what the wife gets.
So if the wife is getting 100 rands, he gets 75 rands.
Yes.
Do they pay to the wife though? Or do
No, they pay to
directed to him?
It's directed to him.
Oh, okay.
The guy is not even working, but he's living a lekker life, bowling and all.
Hey, man, I'll take that anytime.
You know, so I was like, hey, dude, this is the life, man. You know, I'm sure for a German consular, I'm sure they get paid lots of money because the consular is just below the ambassador. So I'm sure they get paid lots of money there. So yeah, it does happen. But like you say, I think it's more in line with expatriates and your embassy staff, etc. Yeah. But
are you getting paid in rands or in dollars?
In rands. I wish I was getting in dollars. I'm getting paid in rands. But I you know, I hear our institution is also opening in Zimbabwe. So I would be interested to see, you know, if maybe I would be able to keep my current contract being paid in rands, but working in Zim. I'm sure that would be super good for me. Yeah, but
would you go back though?
Yes, definitely. If I'm to keep my current contract being paid in South Africa and work in Zim, definitely that would be number one. That would be super good. That would be super good. So, but we'll see if when that time comes, maybe that would be definitely something to consider. Yes. So, any other examples of fringe benefits?
Maybe a company credit card like what Didi has at the moment. Yeah.
Hold on. What?
Company credit card, Mr. Didi.
Oh no, they've The company is scaling down. They've taken away all those credit cards now. Yeah, they're trying to cut down on cost.
Okay. No, but
Believe
this,
that I don't know. Maybe you still have it, but even if you do have it, they've cut down on cost on expenses.
Yeah, got it. And they actually increased my limit.
Oh, they've increased yours.
No, that's nice. I think the best I've ever had
Jokes,
was
jokes. That's now Didi gets a heart attack.
No. I've always stayed away from those things. I don't want to get caught with those things. I've heard stories of guys going bowling with those cards, and then comes Monday, they have to explain and pay back.
Listen,
No,
you must
no
just be
thanks.
responsible with it. You're right. Like people will do funny things. You understand? It's yeah. I've also had. I mean, I think 2-3 years ago, we were sitting at Monte Casino, right? Bill came up to, I think it was 170K. You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you let a bill get to 170K? I remember, yeah, it was a problem.
I think the best I've ever had was a petrol card, which was for 4,500 rands monthly, and that was like during the period of 2012 to 2015. And
we still have those ones. We still have those ones. And the bills, yeah, they do go high. But I've always said to my guys, if you got anything that belongs to the company, don't go and spend like there's no tomorrow. You know, because
but if there's no like a bracket, and you know what I mean when I'm talking about the petrol card, right? Because when they give it to you,
yeah,
right, especially where we are in the positions that we in, they just say, listen, here it is, we're gonna pay for it. Don't abuse it. What does don't abuse it mean? If I decide to go to Cape Town today and use it, am I abusing it? That's all they say. They say there's a petrol card, you're not paying for fuel, don't abuse it. What does don't abuse it mean?
Also, there's no range.
There's no range.
Well, Mulife, you always look at the trend. If there is a spike, then they'll call you in. If you're spending 5K, if you're spending 5K every month, that's okay. But the minute you spike it to about 10, then they'll call you in.
But you know what? That's also unfair, because if you think about it, right? Let's say a guy that has 2 cars, whatever, many cars, right? They give you one card for that one car, right? Let's say you use that car every day in that month, right? Your bill gets to 7,000, right? The norm is set at 7,000. Then the next month you decide, listen, I'm going to use my wife's car, whatever you pouring petrol manually into that car. That bill says maybe at 500 or something. They won't call you in and say, yeah, but listen, you used to paying 7,000, now you're paying 500. But then the next month you decide, I'm going to go to Cape Town, and whatever this thing gets to 14,000, then they're going to call you in. They need to set what you call it and say, listen here, we're giving you this card. You can't go over 10K. Then you know there's a limit. They can't just call me afterwards and say, listen here, you have misused the card. I'm waiting for that day, by the way. They must tell me that I've overused my card. Then they'll get something.
Yeah, I think it's safe when there is a bracket, when there is a specific figure which you can't go beyond. Yeah, no, because if it's not stipulated, then it becomes difficult, yeah, even for you to know how much exactly is beyond my limitation, you know.
Yeah.
So
and if they're gonna call people in, call me in when I've spent less, and say, listen, there's a problem here, you're spending less. Don't spend less. Don't call me when I've gone over and you haven't given me a limit. It doesn't make sense.
I think you're just looking for a fight there.
I am looking for you know me, I'm always looking for a fight. But like I said, they must call me in and tell me, listen, you've overspent.
But like you are saying, they would look at a specific trend to say, okay, you've been spending so much, and now all of a sudden that becomes a problem.
Does the trend include when I haven't put anything for that month? That's all I'm saying. Think about it, Tapiwa. There's a month where I haven't used that card. It's been sitting at home. It's sitting at 0. Are you going to put that in the trend? You can't do that.
Yeah, no, let me tell you of, an example. During that time, that period which I've mentioned, 2012 to 2015. So I had a colleague I was working with. So we had company cars, and we had an allocation of 4.5 a monthly. So this guy went beyond, he went beyond the 4.5, and they called him in to explain. And he wanted to justify. Actually, they had requested that he pays back that, I think it was 1,000 something, which was the extra, which they wanted him to pay back that amount. But he wanted to justify it. So when you went to that discussion, I can't call it a hearing because it was a discussion with the executive manager who was at that branch. And they had already pulled the report of the tracker, because we had company cars. They had already pulled the tracker. Now, when he got there, now it was a different story now, because they wanted to firstly know this guy had done, he was speeding at a speed of 220 kilometers per hour in a 60-kilometer zone, and for a distance of only 1 kilometer to his house. So it was literally coming from one place to his house, which was like 1 kilometer away, and he was going at the car went on to 220 kilometers per hour, and the time was roughly around about 2 a.m. So before they could actually discuss that, they wanted to know why was this guy driving at this speed at that moment, at that time, in that short distance. So already you would have opened a can of worms. But I don't know what explanation it came with that, but I remember that was the issue. But I was just trying to say,
case though. They've given you guys a limit, right? You guys know that you're not supposed to go over. And 2, it's a company car. Do you understand? You need to be responsible. Do you understand? You can't be doing such things, but driving at 200 in the morning. Do you understand? So set the limits. That's all I'm saying. Say to me, here's a petrol card. You can't go over 7,000. Then I know I can't go over 7,000. Don't say here's a petrol card. Don't misuse it. What does don't misuse mean? It's open-ended. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But there should be like a policy governing it.
I agree, Jairus. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. You can't be saying to people, don't misuse. My misuse, Diddy's misuse, your misuse, Jairus. It's 2 different things. Do you understand? So define it. Define it.
True. All right. So that's on fringe benefits. Right. So all items that are exempt from income are also exempt from your remuneration for pay purposes. So we are talking of items which are exempt from being deducted in terms of pay or tax, right? So your war pension, payment of compensation in respect of diseases contracted by persons employed in mining operations, disability pension, workmen's compensation, OID, social security under social security system of any other country, and pension received from a source outside South Africa, the unemployed insurance payments, unemployment insurance payments, which is your UIF, and loss of office lump sums. So here we are talking of the lump sums which you get after you have quit work. Okay. So all these.
What about the president? Is he not exempted from tax?
Yes, I understand so, but I'm not sure what the structure is actually is like. But I understand that the president is also exempted from tax.
Yeah, he puts it there at Palafala Farm.
For the sake that I am on record, I will not say anything.
Tapiwa.
Yeah, I'll not say anything.
Are you guys exempted from making political comments?
Not really, but you definitely have to be careful about it, because we have got people with different political backgrounds or political affiliations, and you wouldn't want to find yourself in a situation maybe you offend someone, and the person reports, and now you have to explain yourself why you made that particular statement.
Kasa, who is you guys?
I think it's referring to
sorry,
us.
sorry for my I'm sorry about that wrong phrase. So I had a friend. I went to VetsTech with a guy from Swaziland, and he made sure that whatever political issues that we had, or he will not comment. He will say, "I reserve my comment because I'll be taken out of the country faster than I got in here."
Oh, I see.
So he did not want to get himself involved in whatsoever, political comments. He will reserve his comments.
No, I think in my case, it's in terms of me being a facilitator, not no, me being a facilitator, and political comments, yeah. So yeah, no, I try by all means. I don't mind talking about Mnangagwa though, but local politics.
I thought that was a no-go area then.
Yeah, when I am in Zim, yeah.
But when you're here, you're free to talk about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the crocodile moves faster in water.
Too much, especially. Yeah. So let's look at the deductions, which is your which have to be deducted from your salary. So firstly, the IF contribution. So this is it's a compulsory contribution to fund unemployment benefits, and this has been effective since the 1st of April 2002. So these contributions, they are deducted and payable by employers on a monthly basis, and they have been collected by SARS since then, right? And once they have been collected, they are paid over to UIF, which is managed by the UI commissioner. Okay. And the Unemployment Insurance Contributions Act is administered by SARS and legislates who should pay UIF contributions and how much. So the Unemployment Insurance Act is administered by the Department of Labor, and it legislates the payments of benefits as well as submission of declaration of employees each month. Both acts define who are the employees as well as the remuneration for UIF purposes. I believe we all pay UIF, right? Am I correct to assume that? Yes.
We do. And obviously, there are conditions around UIF claims. If you go and decide to resign,
Mm.
I believe the UIF does not kick in. They won't pay because you decided to resign on your own.
Yes, true.
Do you
True.
know why that is though, Didi? Because even if you resign, you're still unemployed. And it said it's the unemployed insurance fund, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
It's actually a weird one, eh? You're still unemployed.
it's not weird. Because you have decided,
To be
you made the
unemployed.
choice
Yeah.
Mm.
to be unemployed.
And it's the
Whereas if
unemployment
I
insurance
get,
fund.
so if I get fired or I lose my job, then I am covered by the UIF.
Are
But
we
if you
both not
decide to
unemployed
go,
though?
yes, we are both unemployed, but the circumstances are not the same. I made the choice to resign.
To resign. And
Yes.
you lost. I
Whereas
lost.
the other party,
Mm.
whereas the other party was either fired or they lost their job or Section 189. So the
They must
circumstances are
rename
not the
it.
same.
They must rename it. We're both unemployed, guys. It is what it is.
No, true. And I think the reasoning behind that was that moment is what they refer to in economics as temporary unemployment, or there's another term which they also use, for people who are moving from one job to another during that moment where they are not currently employed. It's referred to as temporary unemployment. And that term is also used to refer to those individuals who have just graduated during that period when they have graduated and they are still looking for employment. It's also referred to as temporary unemployment. But the times in which one can actually spend in that temporary unemployment is still subject to another argument. Because you can stay there for more than 5 years. It does happen. Yeah. So I think they used it I think the basis of the argument was on that, is the assumption that this person has resigned and will probably get another job, so they can then continue with their UIF. But I'm sure that has to be relooked at. I agree with you, Molefe, because you can actually stay in that unemployment position forever.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you've contributed to the fund. But
for the past 15 years.
Yeah. And you get nothing. But well, yeah.
So yeah, so that's on UIF. And then we also have got other taxable deductions, tax deductible deductions. So your employee pension fund and retirement annuity contributions, your retirement funding employment, your pension, your arrears pension, your retirement annuity, your arrears retirement annuity, your income replacement, your employee medical aid contributions. So those are some of the items which would appear on your pay slips as deductibles. So it's not always the case, but I'm sure you would have one or two or some of them, or even more than this. Especially on medical aid, I think it's very, very common, as well as the employee pension fund and retirement annuity contributions. They are also very, very, very common. And then with pension, it depends with the setup of the company in terms of the pension, because in some cases there are companies which do not you are not forced to have that pension deductible. Okay.
What is the difference between pension and the provident fund? Are the tax the same?
No, it's not. The provident is sort of like it's mandatory, and it's whereas the pension, it can be, you can depending with the setup of the company, it can be open for all, or it can be optional for one to take up, and the percentages, they also differ depending on the percentage which you might opt. I know some companies would say 6%, 12%, and it can go as much as 18%, depending with what you would want them to deduct for you.
So there is no way out on the provident fund. You need to contribute.
I don't think there's a way out. I've never been in a situation whereby there is. I don't have a provident fund. It's a.
No, we do have. We own the provident fund. But we've got an option to choose percentages of how much you want to be deducted.
Oh, okay. And what are the percentages?
The percentages, they start from 3%, if I'm correct, and they go as high as 7%.
Oh, okay. And is there an option of not signing up on that provident fund?
No.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. So yeah. So in most cases, not in most cases, I don't think it's there is, if the company I don't think there is an option of actually not having that paying that provident fund. What I know, in some companies, if you are a temporary or a contract employee, then you do not have to, there won't be that deduction. So if
No, yeah,
temporary,
the provident is only for permanent employees.
Permanent employees,
and for the
yes.
contractors and the students, no, there's no. It's only the UIF.
Yes.
And no provident fund. In fact, all the other benefits are not there.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. All right, so let's move on. We have got a few minutes to finish this. So I'm going to fast track a little bit. So our human resource management, they are in charge of the planning aspects, as well as managing the change aspects. So in terms of the planning aspects, they are in charge of looking at your personal requirements analysis, as well as your personnel asset analysis. And when it comes to change aspects, they are in charge of recruitment, personnel development, as well as labor displacement. Okay. So what are the benefits of records management? Right. So what are the benefits of records management? So record management contributes to the smooth operation of your programs. It helps deliver services in a consistent and equitable manner. It facilitates effective performance of activities throughout. It also protects the rights of your employees and customers. It provides continuity in the event of a disaster. Okay. It also protects records from inappropriate and unauthorized access. It meets statutory and regulatory requirements. It provides protection and support in litigation. It also allows quicker retrieval of documents and information from files. It also improves office efficiency and productivity. It also provides better documentation more efficiently. It supports documents, historical and other research. It also frees up office space and other purposes. It avoids unnecessary purchases of office equipment. Okay, so gone are the days when you would find a whole office with files and documents. So what do you do to those documents and files which you receive from your staff members upon being engaged with the company? What do you do with them now that you've got your your HRM system? What do you do with those documents? For those who are currently in HR or who are familiar with the processes there.
Where's everyone now?
I think
they still do keep a hard copies of these files, but I know most of the files are kept on the soft copy, and they've made use of another company. I think it's Microfile that does all the filing for them. Lefe, you should know. You should know. I think
Metrofile.
Yes.
If you request for your documents, they will say, okay, let's pull them from my Metrofile, and it takes a day or so. And, yeah.
But what I also found out is that also Metrofile, they don't keep the documents permanently. I think they keep the documents for a period of time, like 5 years or so, if you have not requested for them.
Depends on the plan that you're on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if the plan that you're on is the basic one, then after 5 years they check them.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. So I think that's the plan which we are on. So after 5 years, they cannot access those documents. Yeah. And Akila?
Well, I guess.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Is Akila or is it me?
No, Akila was on. Akila, yes, you can go ahead.
I think you can go ahead and introduce. I'll come in after you.
It's being a gentleman, man, Aquila.
Okay, then that's fine. So what we do is, I'm not sure, Jairus, I'm not sure if you guys still do that, but I know that we do the whole scanning thing into there's a folder called an FTP system, which goes directly to the server. So when they scan it, it goes on the server with the industry number, with all of the details. So it makes it easy for retrieval. You can get it anytime that you want. And then secondly, the hard copies will go through to Metrofile for capturing and whatnot. But also, interesting enough, on that LMS system that I was speaking about, there is a place where you can actually load the actual record on the system. So you can retrieve it from the system itself. Thank you.
Okay. That's interesting. So it seems like Metrofile has monopolized this function here. It seems like everybody uses Metrofile. Okay. All right. So that's on the benefits of your, keeping your records or managing your data. And so in terms of what your design requirements is supposed to fulfill, you should be able to input your data, your information from the documents, and so we input it for processing, and that should also allow us to get some output in terms of the reports which we would get from that system. And it should function also as a storage system as well for our information. And yeah, so that's the function of this whole data management system. So same explanation on a different diagram input of data resources, processing of data into information, and output of information products. At the same time, functioning as storage of data resources, and also allowing us to have control of the system in terms of performance of the system. So in terms of collection, in terms of data which we have, which we must have, which we must input and which we must get out of the system of our HRM system, it's the information is supposed to be accurate, is supposed to be timely, is supposed to be complete, it's supposed to be relevant, it's supposed to be verified. So like we said, when Malefi mentioned earlier that when it comes to some situation, maybe let's say you have got to some restructuring to do, and you have to let go some people. This information, this HRM information system is supposed to assist you with that, so that you can be able to get the accurate information, and it should also help you to make decisions in terms of whom would you lay off and whom would you be able to leave on the company. Yes.
So back in the days, we used to have someone who was responsible of filing.
Mm.
So would you say with the new system in place, and it's open to everyone who can actually, just go and scan and file, that position has been taken away?
Yes, yes. With the technology, it has let go a lot of positions, and unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. It's technology which is also safe for us to use in terms of keeping the information. I know in some companies, when they introduced SEP, they had to go away. They had to actually, to remove some of the positions, such as your bookkeeper, your accounts clerks, etc., because now that whole function was now being done by that SEP system. If you need a trial balance, if you need a balance sheet at any given point, you can just go onto that system and it would pull the information for you. You don't need someone to sit around and compile the receipts and etc., whatever the accountants do. But what you would need maybe is an administrator of that system. So imagine how many people lost jobs because of such kind of system. So yeah, that's bound to happen. That's bound to happen. Is technology. If you have seen at McDonald's recently, you would actually find that a whole McDonald's shop maybe now has got like maybe about 6 people who are at the counters assisting people. Previously, you would have maybe like 12 counters. Now you've got a machine which you go to, and then you can actually place your order there. You can even pay at that machine, and you simply wait for your collection. So it's technology. Unfortunately, we have to go that route.
Just on that McDonald,
Mm.
have they looked at their cells after they've introduced that system? Because it's a challenge for most of the likes of us, of me. Let me just quote like with me. Just thinking of going in there and I have to keep on punching this and that, just to get my menu. Whereas I could just go over the counter and say, I want 2. Have they not lost their cells?
I'm not sure as yet in terms of the impact of that, but what you are saying, I've also experienced it, whereby I I didn't know, because you see, like you have to select the menus. Sometimes, the thing which you like, it doesn't show from the list of things, or maybe I didn't know how to navigate it. So in the end, I had to get some assistance. Maybe it's old
Who's
age.
laughing? Is that the Generation Z they're laughing? Mulife.
Gents, the McDonald's thing is giving you guys issues.
Yeah, no. You must go there and see how many people need assistance.
Assistance. Yeah, I saw that. I was in.
Hence, I'm saying people now are thinking twice of going into McDonald's because they're gonna be faced with that monster that they can't even follow.
No, I
For your
agree
kids,
with you.
for your kids, Mulife, it's an easy peasy device that they can use. But for someone who's never used a touch screen before, it's a challenge to them. Hence, I'm saying
true,
they
true.
looked at their cells and see if their cells have dropped and what is the reason behind their cells dropping.
Not true. I agree with you, man. I agree. I totally agree with you. Yeah. So let's move on. Remember, our time is well. Leo, it's running out. Okay. So we on our system, we should be able to organize, control, and monitor the storing, recording, maintenance, and retrieval of collected HR information. Okay, so our system is supposed to be to have us able to do that. And so in terms of organizing, controlling, monitor the storing, recording, maintenance of retrieval, collected HR information, human resources records normally held by companies would include the following. So this is the information which you would actually have in your HR system: your staff records, your employment contracts or files, your payroll reports, your pay slips, your IRP files, your reconciliations, your accident reports, your training records, your skills development plans and reports, your employment equity plans and reports, your pension or provident fund documentation. So all this is supposed to be kept in our system. So in terms of the cycle of these files or records, firstly there is the creation of those records, and then there's the utilization, and then this is also followed by storage being kept onto the system, and retrieval of information whenever we need it. And then lastly is disposition. I'm sure this would refer, in our case, is that moment when we get to send our files to Metrofile for safekeeping. So we need to make sure that we use the resources efficiently to capture, record, and organize information. And in this process, we do electronic record keeping, update and maintain employee records, maintain the stored information in accordance with the organizational policies and legal requirements, keep records salary system in accordance with organizational requirements, examine salary and payroll expenses against the budgets, review the records capture system, control access to stored information, make provision for the training of users and operational staff, identify records of long-term value at creation stage and maintain them, ensure that monitoring of the records continuum facilitates the timely transfer of inactive records. So what does your payslip contain? What is it that is indicated on your payslip? Right. So the payslip must contain certain details at all times. So it must show your employer's name and address, your worker's name and occupation, period of which payment is made, total salary of wages, any deductions, the actual amount which has to be paid to the individual, right? Which is your net salary, right? Which goes into the employee's account. Okay. Any other information which normally appears on the payslip, which we have left out here? Any other?
Don't they sometimes put like your leave days as well then? I think I've seen such.
Yes, the leave days. Yes, they do appear. And what else? I've noticed also the date of engagement. It in most cases it does appear on salary on payslips. Okay.
Sick leave days.
Yes, sick leave days. Yes,
available and used.
Available and used. It also shows on your payslip. Yes, in some cases, yes, that's absolutely correct. So remuneration is seen as all payments and amounts payable in cash or otherwise, whether or not for services rendered. This includes your salary and wages, including leave pay, allowances and advances. This is excluding your subsistence allowances, right? Your travel allowances, your overtime pay, bonuses, gratuities, commission, etc. Your pensions, superannuation allowances. I'm not sure what's that. What's the superannuation allowances or retirement lump sums? Okay, annuities, any amounts paid for services rendered, amounts paid for variation of office, any fringe benefits. Okay, so that all this actually constitutes your remuneration. Okay, so your deductions would then include your revenue services, UIF, medical aid, provident or pension funds, loans, company contributions, Supreme Court or garnish orders, and other. Okay, and on Supreme Court or garnish orders, what are these? What are we likely to have on these lists? Yes, Akila.
Sorry, your garnish or court order or interdicts or anything of that sort.
Okay, and what would be these? Any examples of those?
Let's make an example of a garnish where they would send out a document for somebody who's not paying maintenance or whatnot. It goes to payroll and then
Akila, you had to go there.
Yes, I wanted her to go. I wanted her to go there. I actually wanted her to make that example of maintenance. Yeah, I think it's one of the most popular ones. Yeah. So all these have to will appear as deductions, right?
But yeah, just on those garnishes. So the company must inform you that there is a garnish that has been placed against you before they can actually. In fact, they give you a form to acknowledge, to sign it, to acknowledge of the garnish. They cannot just go and deduct without your without you being knowing that they're going to deduct.
Oh, I see. Okay. So these our payroll system must be it must be linked to our government agencies in terms of our annual tax reports and payments. It must also be able to it must actually also be linked to our employees in terms of their paychecks when they get paid directly to them into their accounts. And it must also be linked to our bank, right? And it must also be in a position to give us a payroll report if we need to if we need it for our management decisions. Okay, so the records for tax would include your site, payee, provisional tax payers, tax directive, IRP 5 and IT3. Site, what is site or SITE? So that's your standard income tax on employees. So it's also in relation to your pay as you earn as well. Okay. And the IT3 was that. I'm sure you are all familiar with the IRP 5. What's the IT3? I'm sure you do get that annually. Do you get this IT3? Have you ever received them? IRP 5.
So after submitting your tax, SARS will send you, I think they send you an IT3.
Yes, tax certificate. The tax certificate which they sent to you annually. So in large organization, the human resource management information system is now seen as a means for strategic and operational management and planning, and includes your career planning and appraisals, deploying the right people to fulfill profit growth and product strategies, distribution of the human resource management information system functions to line management and self-service by employees. Like what we were talking about, having being able to access your pay slips on your portals or submitting your leave forms on your applications or portals, and salary and leave administration, and even changing your details as well. So you can simply log on to your portal and change the details without having to go through and get forms from HR and complete them and all that. Okay. And these HRM systems should also be able to give information and advice at a time and place in a form and manner which is appropriate to needs of the recipients, to ensure that information is given accurate, relevant, current, and sufficient for the specifications of the user, to ensure that the advice given is consistent with the policy, procedures, and resource constraints of the organization. Ensure that the advice is supported by seasoned arguments, appropriate evidence, and appropriate evidence. Check and confirm recipients' understanding of the information and advice given. Adhere to organizational confidentiality. So the broad areas where human resources may be evaluated are: do human resource processes meet the business needs of the organization? So here you are looking at whether these are measured by objectives or performance criteria or performance indicators. So do our HR processes, do they meet these needs which we require as an organization? Do we have performance indicators in place which would be able to show us if our processes are sufficient or are assisting us to perform efficiently? Do our HR processes meet all legal requirements? So here we are looking at in terms of our operations, are they in line with all the legal requirements, the workplace agreements, as well as the industrial awards as well? Okay, and then are our human resources processes, are they efficient? I think that we've already mentioned that. Is our HR processes, are they cost effective, or maybe we can actually maybe find an alternative or maybe look at other means in terms of our HR processes and systems? Okay. So all those are areas which have to be consistently evaluated when we look at our HRM system. Right, so we come to the end of this section. So in this unit, you've learned to manage the capture and storage of retrieval of human resource information using information system, manage payroll records, provide human resource information for the use of others. Right. So let's now look at Unit 4, which is Manage Office Supplies Budget. So in terms of what you'll have to learn in this unit, you are supposed to develop and monitor an office supply budget, implement a plan to control the distribution of office supplies, implement control measures with individuals. Okay. So in this unit, you are more concerned with the, looking at the budgets of your office supplies. All right. So what constitutes office supplies? I think there's someone who said they do office management. I don't know whether it was Aquila or it was Quena who mentioned that. I'm sure you would be able to help us here. So the office supplies include your stationery, computer consumables, batteries, facilitation consumables, cassette and videotapes. I don't know if we still have got the cassette though. Maintenance and repairs of equipment and other office services. So such as your refreshments, cleaning, and plans, right? So on cassette and videotapes, I don't think we still have got cassettes in existence, do we?
I don't know when we do.
We do.
Especially tapes in your backup environments, they still use them.
Okay. Hey, with us, we don't have this. I think with time they will definitely be phased out.
I'm sure the people that do your DC, they would tell you differently. Tapes are still a big thing. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe I'm not directly into that. Okay.
And it's not the old tapes like you're thinking, that they've become quite modernized, and yeah, a lot of organizations use them.
Oh, okay. But they still like they've got those two reels and you can play them.
Yeah, you guys would basically use them to back up your environments. Let's say maybe you've got in your data centers, you guys have specific, what do they call them, servers that run your production sites, and you guys back up to your DR sites. And then as a form of contingency, you guys also back up on tapes. So that should you guys be hit with whatever, you guys can follow over to your DR. And if something happens to your DR, we then put you guys on tape. We can recover from tape. So it's happened. I was actually in a meeting yesterday with one of the big organizations, and we're selling them tape. So tape is still a big thing out there.
Okay. And I saw you know, when I was working for Advitech, we used to we were just next to this other data management center, you know, big building, highly protected. So I always used to wonder what they do. Apparently, their services to keep information for different companies in terms of storing their information digitally. And I was like, wow, okay.
They'll probably do like your cloud hostings.
Yes.
Remember, most organizations have moved from having data centers on premises. Do you understand? So you guys would rather than use those companies to put your servers there and all of that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So in terms of our office supplies budget, our budget must be realistic and quantifiable. It must also be historical. It must also be period specific. It must be inclusive. It must be successively reviewed. It must be formally adopted and disseminated. It must also be frequently evaluated. And we also need to implement a plan to control the distribution of office supplies. And how do we do this? So we need to have inventory of all office supplies you wish to organize. We also need to organize supplies into several large categories, such as your paper products, writing utensils, and tape. And we also need to write the name of each category and subcategory onto small sticky labels with a permanent marker. So I think this would differ from, you know, one organization to the other, or one individual to the other, in terms of how you would want to label them, right? And then also we would also have now to place the main category sticky labels, such as writing utensils or paper, on the outside of the cabinets in clear view, right? And then we also need to place the office supplies in the newly labeled cabinets under the correct categories. So this is more administrative, right? And then we need to have control measures, right, to make sure that you know, there's some control and management of our office supplies. So we would have to designate one person in the office to organize, track, and order supplies. We need to take inventory of all supplies that the office currently has in stock and make a spreadsheet of these items on the computer. We need to divide the office supplies that you have into like groups. We also need to dedicate an area in the office to store all the office supplies. We also need to order office supplies as needed. Then we also need to identify non-conformances, right? So shortages can be caused by stock deliveries being short, which would be documented and claim made for a credit note to be issued by the suppliers. So it can happen that in some cases, the deliveries might come short, and then obviously a credit note would then have to be created so that the supplier can be able to to make sure that they sort us on those deliveries which were short. And shortages can also be caused theft and where theft, it can happen also either internally in your organization, or if you in a space whereby you have got direct contact with the public. It might also be from external individuals actually stealing from your stock. So this must be recorded as a write-off and deducted from the stock record, and it also causes shortages. So shortages may also occur through usages not being accurately processed. So this would actually lead to a shortage in a product line. And then we have got overstocks. Overstocks are caused by stock being received but not being invoiced for in deliveries or transfers. So in a case whereby maybe we are receiving the stocks, but they are not being redistributed to where they are actually supposed to be utilized, we end up sitting with overstocks. So how do we sort out this issue of overstock? We should actually arrange for the return to the supplier, or entering the goods in the stock record and initiating the appropriate paperwork for a further invoice or credit to be issued by the supplier. Right. So in this short unit, you've learned to develop and monitor office supply budget, implement a plan to control the distribution of office supplies, as well as implement control measures with individuals.
Papiwa, this office budget or controlling the office supplies, is it mainly restricted to HR, or it can be any department within the organization, because it differs with us?
Yes, it can be any department within the organization, but here we are mentioning it in relation to HR, but it can be used in any department. It can be used in any department. Do you order your stock, your office supplies yourself at work, or it's done from a central point in the organization?
It's done from a central point within the organization. We've got an accounts department that actually runs with it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So December and January, they'll be ordering quite a number of pens.
Yeah. So
you know that you know what's the reason behind that?
What's the reason?
Because Mlipe has got kids that needs pens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're funny, Casa.
No, truly speaking, I think it happens quite often, especially in Jan.
Happens all the time.
In Jan, people.
January.
Yeah, people will be sending in lists with everything there. Even
Yeah, we all stock up from there.
even those thick books there. Hey, yeah, no, yeah, okay. So yeah, so that whole process, but in some cases you'd actually find that that function is entirely administered by the HR department. But I know in most cases you'd find that like for instance, in our case, HR department, it actually that whole function of office supplies is we've got someone who's in charge of it in our HR department. So whether you are from accounts or from whichever department, you still have got to order through our HR department in terms of your stationery lists. All right, so Where to from here? I'm sure you all know. You have 4 weeks in the workplace after this session to collect evidence. The evidence consists of your self-assessment, knowledge test, workplace practicals, and your workplace evidence will be evaluated at the next 5-day session. Right? I'm sure this will all be discussed with your administrator. Okay, and you have done LP1, whereby you had to deal with the legislation. You have done LP2, which is the one which you have just completed now, managing the personnel function. And your next program would be facilitate learning. Okay, right.
In Feb, right?
Yeah, but we are moving. We are moving. We are getting there. Okay, so that's it. Let's look at our formative assessment questions. So let me share my POE.
I know I came in late. This session is how long?
It's 3 hours.
What time did you guys start?
At 8. Oh no, we had to wait a little bit for all people to come through. So I think we started at around 8:40.
8:30.
Okay, so we're going to 12. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to 11:30. Yeah.
11:30. Yeah, 11:30. I know you are strict with time, do.
Just give us a second. I need to find my POE.
I'm also trying to locate mine here.
Does yours have the answers, Tapiwa?
No way. We never have POEs with the answers because we have to have this discussion in class, you see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we have to have these discussions, and also if if you look at the questions on POEs, in most cases it doesn't give you like a definite answer.
Yeah, no,
but it must be in line with what we are looking for.
True. FA4, right?
I think we had finished 4, right? And let me quickly check. Had we finished 4 last week?
No, we're on 4.
We're on 4.
Remember, we dropped off Didi, so they might have finished 4. We might have to go to the recording.
No, we did not drop off.
Oh, you didn't?
We all finished at the same time.
I had to drop off.
Oh, you dropped off, yeah. I stayed behind because my electricity came back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share my POE now on the screen.
With answers, yes, thank you.
It doesn't have answers. I wish they could give me with answers. Yeah. All right. So I think we had attempted the first one, whereby we had to list any 3 types of job titles in your organization, and under each of the following categories: your permanent employees, temporary employees, and contract employees. I remember us doing that way, if I am correct.
Permanent employee, transformation manager.
Mm-hmm.
You like that one?
Too much.
And what do you have on your temporary employees?
Items are my learnership, internship, students or learners.
Okay, and then your contract employees.
Project workers and part-time workers.
Okay, and okay, so this will obviously differ from one organization to the other in terms of your list, which you have there, right? And I think that's an easy task. And let's look at our number 2. Describe your organization's policies in respect of the following working conditions and say how they align with the minimum legal requirement, legal conditions of employment. I remember us discussing this.
No, it was with another class.
It was with another class, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So
we actually did this.
we did this, right? Yeah. What's your normal working hours, and what is constituted as overtime in terms of your policies, Mr. Miller?
From 8 till 1700 hours is normal working hours with 1 hour of lunch. Anything before 8 and anything after 1700 hours is seen as overtime. We then pay 1.5 at a rate of 1.5 for Saturdays, 2.0 for Sundays and public holidays.
Okay. All right. No, so that's detailed. So that's the information which we are looking for here.
Okay.
And then you keep it brief. And so you've already covered the working days as well.
You see, that's it.
So the working days and weekends and public holidays. What do you do? Do you close totally, or do you find yourself working? If you find yourself working public holidays, what happens?
We pay them overtime. Sorry, what are we saying?
Is it on 2.0 or it's different?
It's on 2.0, yeah.
2.0. Okay. And leave provisions in terms of annual leave, sick leave, maternity leave, and family and responsibility. How many do you guess for annual leave?
It's person dependent. Yeah, is it not contract dependent and position dependent?
Oh, okay.
It's usually like 14, and then as you go higher, and with the number of years of service, then you accumulate.
Minimum is 16, Mulife.
Is it 16?
16.
Yeah, that's the minimum.
In our company, it's 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
But on the legislature, what is the minimum?
I think it's 16. 16.
Yeah, it's 16.
And maternity leave?
We'll have to get the ladies in there. Aquila?
Our maternity leave. Okay, maybe let me start with our leave. We get, I know, we've got different categories. So category 2 to 8, they will get about 35 days of leave. Whereas your officials get 21.
35.
They do 0.5. Yeah, 35.
Oh my God.
Then your officials do also get 35, but we take 21. And then with regards to your maternity, this was also part of our collective agreement. We give out 3 months paid maternity leave, and then the rest you can claim from obviously your UIF and whatnot.
You guys have openings there?
Yes, we do have a whole IT department, but it's a contractor, so
I'm gonna send you my CV.
Akila, sorry, I missed on maternity. You said
it's 3 months. So
it's 3
we
months.
give you 3 months fully paid. You are also entitled to take to add it together with your leave. So usually most women, what they do is they will take their 3 months and then add their 30 days or 35 days of leave, then start claiming from UIF if they want to extend. But by that time, most of them do actually come back if they do want to.
Actually, Aquila, now it has been amended to 4 months. 4 months.
Yeah.
Is it 4 months?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
4
must say
months.
Jairus is more of a union person, so he would know the updated things.
And
Viva
also
Jairus, viva.
in terms of the leaves, everyone nowadays, whether you're an official or semi-skilled, it's 35 for everyone.
Yeah, no,
35
I know. I said,
days,
but
yeah.
we take 21, but you are entitled to 35. But usually get our category, we take 21 days, but we
If
do
you
get
want.
35. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yes.
I take the full 35, eh?
Yeah.
You union people, you
35 days in a year.
Jairus is
Whoa.
balling.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So with us, we used to get 4 months. And I see now that has been taken away. It's been amended. If you want to take your maternity leave, you go and apply for your UIF. So I see most of our ladies going for, once they deliver, they stay for a month or 2 and they come back. Because what they get from UIF is, it's pathetic.
No. Even what they get from us, I think it's what, 60% of their salary they get from us.
It was about 75%, if I'm not mistaken.
Go check it. It went down to 60.
Yeah.
That's why they're coming back so quick.
No, they don't pay anymore. Eh?
Oh, they don't pay
It's been
anymore.
amended. Yeah, they don't pay. If you go on maternity, you go and apply for your leave straight from UIF.
And
I had
UIF
a
gives you
lady
like what?
Yeah,
Is
one
it
of my
25 or
ladies.
something?
One of my ladies didn't stay that long. She came back, I think, on the 2nd month.
Aquila,
Yeah.
send us forms, please.
All right.
Aquila, you won't afford the Mulife. You won't afford Mulife.
Hi,
Mulife is too expensive.
Hi, Bo.
And we left out the others there. We've got compassionate and study leave.
3 days.
3 days of
4 days study leave.
Study leave. Okay.
Compassionate is 3.
4 days.
All right. And compassionate, you only get it after. How would you get that?
Never applied. I've never seen compassionate, but family responsibility is 3 days. Compassionate, Mulife?
Is this the one that's at the discretion of your manager?
I think so.
I think it's the same as family responsibility, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 3 days as well.
And remuneration policies in terms of your increases, bonuses, and the 13th check.
At the discretion of directors.
Okay. So the 13th check is at the discretion of the directors.
Yep.
No, we don't get a 13 check. We get a bonus.
Oh, okay.
And it's based on the company performances.
Discretion of directors.
13 check is guaranteed. You see, with a 13 check, it's guaranteed that you're going to get it. With the bonuses, it's not guaranteed. It's based on the company performance.
Okay, but I'm sure
that goes with your increases as well. The increases are based on the company performance. If company is not performing, then there is no increase.
And this is the increases is across the board, and it's implemented within a specific month.
At the discretion of directors.
At the discretion of directors still. Okay. All right. So obviously that would also differ. Jairus and Jeffrey, how does it work from your side?
In terms of increases, we do have a collective agreement whereby the unions and the company, they sign an agreement for a specific time. For example, last year we do have signed 5 years agreement So after 5 years, we must go and negotiate again. So it is there, we must have an increase. It doesn't depend whether the company is performing or not.
What do you link it to, Jairus? Do you link it to CPI? How do you guys link the percentage?
Look, as comrades, when we say 12.5, it's 12.5. It doesn't matter whether the company is performing or not, but that's how it is in an industry whereby you have unions. Once the masses say we want 12,000, that's what they want, regardless of the company is performing or not. If they want something, they want something.
So CPI could be sitting at 4%. You guys would say 12.
That's what's happening. Hence, you see companies, people going on strike and all that stuff. So, and in terms of the 13th check, our 13th check, we get it when we go on leave. That's whereby you get your 13th check. And there are performance bonuses for like, for example, people who are in operations underground, they get bonuses almost every month depending on how they produced. But we on services, we get quarterly bonuses.
Gasa?
Quarterly bonuses.
Yeah, we used to have something like that. We used to have that as well.
Very nice.
Back in the days, you know,
Yes, we do.
No, I was saying, yeah, back in the days, I used to get an executive bonus, and then I would get a bonus for everyone. Yeah, things have changed. Things have changed.
Wow.
Then Mulifa came on board, and they took all that away.
For you.
Well, you in sales now, so I don't know how it works.
Different, Baba. I'm there with Jairus.
Yeah, in sales, they normally get a lot of incentives then.
Yeah.
They get lots of bonuses there.
Yeah.
And
no, only the people who are in operations, those are the ones that get loads of bonuses. Because for us, we have to wait for 3 months, and the bonus that you're going to get in that 3 months is not that much.
It buys a BMW, Jairus.
Say again?
It buys a BMW.
No comment.
Yeah, or a Jeep. Okay. All right. So, and then
Akila's hand is up.
Okay. Or yes, Akila. Sorry, I missed that.
Just to add in there, I think, like I said, we've got different categories. So, like myself and Jairus and Jeffrey, we would get quarterly bonuses, but your management, which is Cat 14 and above, they get it biannually. And then in terms of their increase, it's determined obviously by the CFO. And yes, they do also get a 13th check as well.
But then how is it calculated? Is it maybe 30% over 4 months, or is it still 100% in that quarter?
With regards to the bonus?
Yeah.
Look, their bonus is mostly performance-based. So, for example, they would have a certain budget that they will have to maintain, and depending on how much they've saved, depending on what their stats is, depending on, obviously, it's different departments. So, in terms of safety, one in a scorecard, a learning and development scorecard, safety is more up than, whereas a stakeholder engagement department might not necessarily score a lot on safety because of the risks involved and whatnot. So it's mainly it's sort of like pre-calculated. I don't know how to something like that.
Okay. And on remuneration benefits, such as your pension, provident funds, medical aids, company vehicles, car allowances, what do you have under that category there? So in this space, you can just list the one which applies to your company, and if it's got a quantifiable amount, then you can also put that amount, or if there's a percentage, you can also put that percentage.
I wanna see something here. Mulefe, put it up.
Yeah, I actually have it. Listen, I don't have rights to share. I wanted to share. I can't, guys. I'm sorry.
But you can mention if you simply get the pension, or you've got your pension fund, or you've got your medical aid. If it's your medical aid is fully paid by the company, you can also stipulate that your medical aid is fully paid up by the company. And then if you've got company vehicles allocated to you, you can also stipulate that. And your petrol allowance, or if you do get travel allowances, then you also need to list them. And subsistence allowances, I'm not sure if this is in some companies it will be it's grade related in terms of your grade, your position in the company, or it's the same across the board. What I know is that in my organization, it's actually same across the board in terms of subsistence allowances. Let's say if you go out of your workspace, or if you go out of the town, there are some allowances which will be paid for you so that you can be able to cover for your meals. And so that is actually it's the same amount for everyone across the board. I don't know how you guys do it in your organizations. And then we have got housing or housing subsidies. I think it was Akila who mentioned that they get 3,000 to 5,000 out of mine allowance. Like maybe you're not staying in the premises, and then you, on top of that, you still get your accommodation, your housing allowance. I'm like, wow, what a job. Hey, imagine getting two allowances which are related to the same
No,
thing.
maybe you got it wrong. Sorry, let me come in there.
Yes.
So I'm saying you've got your living out allowance, right? But there's also something which is sort of like a housing allowance, but this is how it happens. So you get a bond with them with the bank, obviously. But also the mine is also building separate mine houses as well, so that it's part of ownership, so that or rather part of housing and living standards or conditions, something like that. So what happens is then they give you like something like 150,000. I'm not sure, Jaros, you will correct there. Rands, which is that loan is it's interest free. So basically so it's something like that. So you do still get your living out allowance that is paid through in your payslip. That's fine. But from a housing perspective, when you do your bonds and all that, there's a interest-free loan that they give you.
Okay. Hey, that's super. Yeah, that's a good organization to work for. You shouldn't move there, Akila.
Can she share her email address in the chat, please?
And as I said last week, the sick leave is at 42 days. 42 days per annual.
42 days of sick leave pay.
42.
Imagine that. But
Oh.
now you see what I worry about, the danger of that is, what if people end up abusing that now? That means you might actually have a company which is now no longer operating to its capacity because you've got half of the employees on sick leave. I'm not sure.
But Tapiwa, that sick leave does not mean that you need to utilize it. Go on sick leave. The minute we start picking up a trend that you are getting sick every Mondays and Fridays and paydays, then we take you into our we send you to our company medical doctor to check if you are capable of doing work or being at work.
Okay.
So it becomes a problem. I mean, if you're gonna finish all your 30 days in 1 year, that means you're not fit to be at work. Yeah. So it's a problem. Not everyone understands that. They always think that they are entitled to take. They can just go on sick leave because they've got days. Doesn't work like that.
Okay. No, that's understandable. So yeah, so you need to indicate all those benefits, remuneration benefits. You know, if you can put in the amount, that would be good. If you can't, you can just put in if you do get that remuneration benefit or not. And also on relocation allowances, I don't know if there are still companies doing that, but if you do get that, would be very good also to list it. Okay, so a relocation allowances only applies to maybe people who will be moving from one branch to the other, or alternatively a new employee who's moving maybe probably from one province to the other. I don't know if that still does apply in many companies, but I know that most companies, they no longer have this. Okay, and the notice periods. What are the notice periods in your workspace? What is the notice period in your workspace?
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah.
What is the notice period? Do you know that there's a difference between 30 days and the calendar month?
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But it's listed as 30 days, which is, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the calendar month.
It is broken down. If you've been with a company for a week, it's a day, and then it starts going up again. If you've been with a company for a month, I think it's a week. If you've been with a company for a year, then your 30 days kicks in.
Or your calendar month, you know. So because your calendar month, if you resign on the 15th of November, that means your calendar month will only be calculated from 1 December to the 31st of December. It doesn't calculate from the 15th to the 15th. You know that?
Not aware of that.
Yeah, that's new. Okay.
Explain it again. So if I resign today is the 19th. So it only kicks in from the 1st of December until the end of December.
To the end of December. But if your notice says 30 days, that means it starts being calculated from now to the next 15th of December. But if it says a calendar month, that means it starts from 1 December to 31st of December. And
in a case of with immediate effect?
Oh yeah, that's a different scenario. Which, but if you apply the notice period, once it says calendar month, just know that it starts from the 1st of the month to the last day of the month.
And then obviously when I know I've signed a 2 months notice period.
Yeah, so if it's 2 calendar month, that means you have to
yeah, all execs are 2 months.
So that means you'd have to have 2 months. Right. All right. So we've got a decision which we have to make here. So we still have got lots of questions left. So we need to come to an agreement. Should we have? Should I request for another 2-hour session support for POE, or should we? I don't know. What your suggestions? That's my suggestion. But that would have to. What I would want to know also from you, will that be able to be done during the week, if possible?
I'm voting yes. I'd like a 2-hour to just complete the POE.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seconding you there.
Mm-hmm.
Another session on the 26. Yeah, that will do for 2 hours, just to
26
cover the POE.
26 is Friday, it's Saturday. Any chances of us doing it during the week?
With just give us enough notice, then we'll have to work around it. So you can't tell us today for today.
No.
Yeah, just give us.
I
Yeah.
think if we can agree on a date now, that would help us. I would have preferred during the week. So whichever date we agree on now, I would send in a request for that.
But
I
during the
don't
week, what
think-
time?
Yeah, I don't think we'll get to a day. I think you give us a day, right? Because if we do it like that, I'm gonna say I'm busy on Monday. Give us a day, then we all have to work around that day. Otherwise, we won't finish.
How about Thursday morning?
Thursday morning. Well, I'm gonna say
Let's do it on
yes.
Friday. Friday, I don't work on Fridays.
I probably have meetings, but yeah.
Should we put it on Friday? We can do Friday.
Friday, I'm off. Yeah, I don't work Fridays.
Let's do it Thursday. Thursday will be good.
Yeah, Thursday. I vote for Thursday morning too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, let's do
I think I
Thursday.
also vote for Thursday.
Yeah, so let's have Thursday, and it's also safe for
Outvoted,
me.
yeah.
It's also it's also safe for me because
Sorry.
on Friday we've got our academic meeting as well. So
Thursday morning, please.
Yeah, so let's have Thursday morning. Let's say 9 o'clock.
Hi,
9 to 11.
Hi, boo.
Oh,
Can we start at 8? Any
okay,
objections?
we can. I'm up early. Let's do 8 o'clock then.
Yeah, because you know what? Yeah, hey, then the day starts getting hectic. So if we start late, then we will run into problems.
Okay. All right. So let's have Thursday at 8 o'clock, and please, if you can also maybe post it on your WhatsApp group for the sake of anyone who's not in class today. Okay. All right. So let's meet Thursday, and you should be receiving a link. I'm going to send an email now so that our administrators can be able to help us with that. So you should get a link with that for that support session. But thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend. We'll meet again on Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Mr. Vutali and Gasa, can you guys stay behind, please?
Tapio, are we not playing Pirates today? I mean, Chiefs today. I want to be happy again.
Hey, you're such a
Don't start
problem,
with
man.
that discussion. Hey, I was so. It was terrible, I tell you. Now, but
yeah, but it was penalties, man, and it came down to the wire. That was not a bad lose. What was bad was what happened after that 4-0.
That's 4-0.
We were tired. We were tired. The other team had enough rest.
Nah.
Yep.
And the thing is, we
Daily
never hear the end with the other team. All right, so let's meet again on Thursday, guys. All right, so we are done with our session. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Vutali,
Gasa, stay behind, please, with Mr. Vutali.
Mr. Vutali.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, so we have made a resolution. We have got outstanding formative activities which we have to cover. So that will be for Thursday at 8 o'clock. So I'll send an email so that you can be able to sort that out so that our IT can create the link. I think his network is bad. He indicated that earlier. All right. So yeah. So hopefully it comes back now. So but I don't. Yes, Butali, I can see your network is going on and off. So I hope you heard what I've just said now?
Yeah. I got most of it.
Okay. So will Thursday be okay?
Yes, it's fine. It's fine with me.
Okay. All right. So it's just the POE. We just need to discuss the remaining questions. Then we are done.
Okay. Okay. So when I request for link, I should name it as a POE support session, right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
All right.
From 8 to 10.
Yes.
Okay. No problem.
Mr. Vutali, Mr. Gasa, quick one. This is not related. Quick one
Okay.
on generic management. So you guys had concluded everything. What's happening there? Sorry, guys, you guys can jump off. Sorry, it's it's something not even.
All right. Okay. So let me just quickly log off onto as well. Okay.
Hey, Gasa?
I'm here.
Yeah. So what's happening there, gents? Are we getting the certificates? Generic management.
Yeah, but I sent
Yes.
you an update. I've sent you an update that
We
everything
should
has
be
been
getting.
Hold on. I said everything has been processed from the MIC CETA, and now it's a case of just printing out the certificates, and we should be getting it. Should be getting. Yeah.
To print out, it takes so long.
It's a process with everything is a process with MIC CETA. Remember we can get the certificates from generic, from Regenesis, but the certificate that you want is the one that comes from the MIC CETA.
Because I checked on their portal, on the Regenesis portal, and there's nothing there. You understand? And I wanted to ask you, Vutali, are we good? Are we gonna get these things?
We did the verification, right? To do it's services CETA that we accredited with for generic. So we did the verification there, and then they send a report which is signed, which means the results are endorsed. So what they are doing now, they are doing the SORs, and the SORs, I think they are done, and then they will deliver the certificate to us. They promised us Friday, but they didn't arrive because Salim was there on Thursday, right? On services CETA. He asked to receive the certificate. They were like, I already couriered them to your company. So that means we're expecting them on Friday. So that means it's with the courier. So probably Monday they will be with us.
Oh, okay. And then quick question on the portal, when you go under what you call it, academic record, is it gonna also appear there?
The thing, when you request for academic record, we have to do it for you guys. Because remember, I think when you were doing generic, when your portal was not mapped out. That's what Awo told me to say. Your results were not being uploaded on the portal. So we can do it manually. That's the only thing I can do.
Oh, okay. Because I was checking here and it's not there. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we should be good then.
The SOR is more like.
When I know.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Vutali. Sorry.
So I was saying the SOR that will come from services CETA, it's more of an academic record because it's your statement of results. But if you need one from Regenesis, we can still do it for you guys.
Send us.
Okay.
Send.
Okay. No problem.
You can wait another 2 or 3.
No, I can't. I've been waiting for the past year.
Wena ufuna ugibela istage nje, ufuna ugibela istage nawe.
Yeah, let's talk about that as well, Vutali. And the stage.
That one, yeah, we can plan it, but the graduation, I think the next one will be in April or March, somewhere there. So it's one thing that I will need to liaise it with Salim to hear what's the next graduation, and then how to go about it for your company.
Send, but it's gonna give me more motivation to also go into this one. Send.
Diploma.
So you want the
diploma.
Send, Baba, send. And then Akila. You guys had the benefits there by Akila's work. I'm gonna apply. I need that certificate. Send that certificate.
Yeah, it's fine. You will receive it. Let's hope Monday will receive them. I'll let you know once we receive them and say the logistics of how you're gonna receive it to you, the hard copies.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mbana. Kasa, thanks for the help, Mbana.
We're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, cheers,
We're
gents.
running Sunday.
Where?
Okay, thanks.
Tough one.
Nah, dog. It's my son's birthday. Not running that day.
All right. All right.
Okay.
All the best.
Sharp.
Thanks a
All right.
lot, Vutali. Thanks, Monica.
All right.
Sharp, guys.